Everything's about to come out, and it hurts to say this first. I've carried this secret for weeks, a pressure building like a storm in my chest, because deep down, I knew this moment was coming. I knew the conversations, the commentary, the analysis would explode in every direction. But before all that noise takes over, I needed to say this first. Canada just came through one of the most emotionally charged and nationally consequential elections in modern history. This wasn't just about politics, it was about our collective character, our sense of identity, and our future. Mark Carney's rise to power didn't follow the usual script. He wasn't a career politician, yet he stepped into the chaos with confidence. After assuming the leadership of the Liberal Party earlier this year, he immediately called a snap federal election for April 28, 2025, a move that shocked voters and rivals alike. Some called it bold, others called it desperate. But for Carney, it was a calculated risk to gain a fresh mandate and establish legitimacy before stepping foot in Parliament. He walked into a storm. Canadians across provinces were facing soaring grocery bills, rent hikes that seemed to mock reality, crumbling healthcare, and a sense that government had grown disconnected. And then there was the fatigue, deep, emotional exhaustion from years of economic stress, pandemic memories, and cultural division. Carney offered calm. He scrapped the consumer carbon tax, promised to tackle inflation responsibly, and spoke to Canadians like a surgeon treating a wounded patient, carefully, with precision. Then came Pierre Poilievre, relentless, fierce, and unfiltered. He didn't offer calm, he offered rage. He blamed Carney for elite failures, the media for bias, the government for every missed promise. Poilievre wasn't trying to reassure, he was trying to rally. His base was loud, angry, and convinced they were watching Canada slip away. His message hit people hard. For many, it felt like the first time someone in power really understood their pain. But with the fire came burn marks. His rhetoric around immigration, institutions, and government overreach unsettled many. It made others fearful. As he surged in the polls, the country's tension deepened. Suddenly, the election wasn't just about taxes or trade. It was about who we are, about whether Canada would pivot toward populism or double down on balance. And in that storm, even longtime allies turned to strangers. The debates were electric. Carney was the picture of steadiness, measured, bilingual, and poised. Poilievre threw punches, some direct, others below the belt. Viewers weren't just watching politics. They were watching two competing futures for Canada, one grounded in institutional credibility and technocratic precision, the other born from grassroots frustration and the fury of being left behind. And between them, millions of Canadians wondering which voice to trust. Election night wasn't just tense, it was a psychological war zone. Across the country, phones buzzed, TV anchors stumbled over writing flips, and social feeds lit up with conflicting narratives. In the end, Carney's Liberals held on, winning a minority government with roughly 168 seats. Poilievre's Conservatives landed around 144. But the true shock wasn't the numbers, it was Poilievre's personal defeat. He lost his own riding in Carleton. The man who dominated the headlines couldn't secure his own base. Still, Carney's win isn't total. With a minority, he'll need support from the NDP and Bloc to get anything passed. That means compromise. That means strategy. And that means tension in every vote, every speech, every budget. What Canadians voted for wasn't power, they voted for pressure. Pressure on their leaders to perform. Pressure on government to listen. Pressure on parties to cooperate. It's a fragile mandate, but it's also a powerful one, because it comes from a place of deep urgency. It hurts to say this first. Canada nearly fell into something darker. This campaign showed us just how divided we are, urban versus rural, east versus west, working class versus political class. We flirted with the politics of rage, with echo chambers, with nationalism disguised as populism. And while we didn't fall, we stumbled. We saw it in the vitriol online, in the protests that bordered on riots, in the friends who stopped speaking over political views. That scar is real. And yet, there's something still standing. Our institutions held. The vote was clean. The result was accepted. That matters. Because even though our trust has been shaken, our democracy didn't break. But it's fragile, and it needs care. Carney now carries the burden of healing, of speaking to both the hopeful and the cynical, of proving that leadership is still possible without shouting. That change can come without breaking the system. As for Poilievre, he faces a choice: double down or recalibrate, fight harder or listen deeper. His movement has roots, but if it's to grow, it must evolve. He has a role to play in shaping the opposition, not just as a critic, but as a constructive voice. Whether he can do that without returning to rage politics will define his future, and maybe ours. Canadians now face a new era. One where truth must rise above slogans. Where unity must mean more than lip service. Where we must talk to each other, not just yell past each other. This isn't about who won or lost. It's about what we learned. We are more divided than we want to admit, more vulnerable than we like to believe, but also more determined than ever to protect what matters. Everything's about to come out, and it hurts to say this first is not a scandal. It's a reckoning. It's an honest look at what we almost became and what we still have a chance to protect. This is our time to lead, not just in government but as citizens, neighbors, friends. It hurts to say it first, but maybe that pain is what wakes us up.